Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Dear brothers and sisters, greetings of the peace. Medical confidentiality or patient confidentiality, it is a foundational tenet in the delivery of the effective healthcare since the early time of the Hippocrates, the ancient Greek physician, who is also known as the father of medicine. Effective healthcare is important because in the healthcare scenario, the patient is in a vulnerable situation. He he wants to disclose and reveal his very sensitive things in the secrets to the physician with a hope that he will keep it secret, and also he think that this information is crucial and vital to receive a effective health care and the treatment. From a Sharia perspective, it unequivocally demands respect for individual safety and privacy and subsequent dignity, not only in the healthcare, in the all walks of the life. Protection and of the dignity and the privacy are among the higher objectives of the Sharia. Sharia acknowledges the importance of the personal space. That is why it prohibits any kind of the intrusion and access without the consent. For example, the Quran in Surah An-Nur 27 and 28, we can see that it instructs uh, to ask permission before entering to someone else's home. Even within the home, if you are entering to other members' room, you have to seek the permission and ask the consent, because the home is a private place where people conduct in their own way. They need a privacy for that. That is why Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam say, if you ask permission and you were not given for the three times you ask permission and you were not given, then you should return back. Now, you asked three times the permission and you didn't hear any response. That doesn't mean you can enter. You should return back. Based on this hadith, Yahya ibn Sharaf an-Nawawi rahimahullah, he says that the scholars have concluded asking permission is a requirement, it is legally required. As for the medical confidentiality is concerned, it is meant. Why medical confidentiality? It is to prevent the unauthorized access to the patient information and the unlawful disclosure of it. In that way, it protects the patient from the otherwise harm. When the doctor receives a lot of information, sensitive information, or whatever he has been informed, then he has to keep private and secret this information. He should not give an access to the patient information for any unnecessary person. In addition, within the context of medical confidentiality, the important aspect is seeking patient consent. If any disclosure is needed for a better cause, for example, for conducting a medical research, you think that this information is a vital, it's important, then you can give, but only after seeking the consent of the patient. Or you can report that to an official body and you have to seek the consent. But if that seeking the consent compromise the purpose of legal disclosure, then no need to ask his consent. In Islam, medical confidentiality is part of the contract of a medical profession. When you enter to the medical profession, you have a contract. Based on the contract, medical confidentiality is an obligatory duty. Two Quranic ayah shed light on the importance of the fulfillment of the contracts. In Surah Al-Isra 34, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, fulfill every covenant. Verily, the covenant will be questioned about. You have to fulfill your contracts and covenants. In the second ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in Surah An-Nisa 58, He say, verily Allah commands that you should render back the trust to those to whom they are due. Yours, the secrets you receive, it is a amana. And you have to run back and render back the trust to those to whom they are due. And Allah prohibits the violation of the trust in Surah Al-Anfal 27. That is why If we go against the contract, he is answerable for breaching of that contract. The jurists of the four Sunni madhahib reached a consensus that all types of the secrets need to be preserved, and their disclosure is prohibited, it is haram. That is why we can say medical confidentiality practice in the healthcare scenario, it is wajib, it is an obligatory duty. It is not only healthcare ethics and responsibility, but also it is a religious obligation, and inexcusable disclosure of the patient privacy is prohibited in the light of the Quranic ayah and several ahadith we can find out. However, the question arises, is the medical confidentiality absolute? That means at any cost, at any scenario, you cannot breach, you cannot disclose the information you receive from the patient? Is that the ruling? From a Sharia perspective, we say it is not an absolute, rather, it is conditional. There are certain limits in the patient confidentiality. Where can we find this, the solid evidence for that? That is based on a hadith. In that hadith, Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam say, the secrets of a meeting are amana, is a trust, except in the three meetings in which they talk about murder, they talk about zina, they talk about the illegal usurping of the wealth, stealing or robbing other people property. That means if you are in a meeting and you received and you heard some information, you should not talk this information to anyone. You have to keep it secret. But the meeting, the content was about committing the major sins. You have the excuse to disclose this information to the relevant concerned party. This prophetic tradition is a guiding principle for valid exception of the medical confidentiality practice. For example, to protect the patient, to protect the other party, third party, or the partner, or the public, for having a maslaha, a mu'tabara kabira, for a bigger benefit, or for preventing a bigger harm. The breaching of patient confidentiality is accepted, is justified. Imam al Ghazali say Islamic ruling over the disclosure of the privacy is based on the harm it produces. And he explains that disclosure of the privacy is a sign of disloyalty. You disclose, you breach the secret of any person, that shows how disloyal that person is. Significantly, the disclosure is haram, it is prohibited if that disclosure causes any kind of harm. If it does not cause any kind of harm, then still it is a wicked act, as informed by Imam Al Ghazali, rahimahullah. Let's explore more. See you again. Thank you very much.